So here it is. 80-year-old man was arrested for shoplifting. So he goes in front of the judge, and the judge says, "What did you steal?" And the 80-year-old man said, "I stole a can of peaches." A can of peaches. And the judge stops and thinks for a minute and says, "How many peaches were in the can?" And the 80-year-old man says, "There were 6 peaches in the can." And he says, "All right, then I'm going to charge you with 6 nights in jail for each one of the peaches in the can." So the wife of the older man says, "Judge, can I say something real quickly?" The judge says, "Yeah, go ahead." She said, "He also stole a can of peas." You get it? A lot of nights in jail. Is that a little better than the other one? Okay, we're headed into the important part of the evening. Just kind of give you a rough idea of what's going to happen in the next hour and a half or so. We have basically 17 new inductees. So in order to save us some time so that we're not here until midnight, we would like to ask for each one of the presenters to only give about a 2-minute synopsis of their friend, their relative, neighbor, loved one, et cetera, et cetera. And then each of the presenters, we're asking to keep even though you want to thank the whole world, and you probably should and might, but we're asking you to keep your comments to about 3 minutes. So if we do that, we'll be out before midnight. So, and I know that's going to be difficult, but unfortunately, in order to stay somewhat on track, both Dave and I are going to be sort of up here on the stage, in the stage area. So as a presenter, if you go more than your 2 minutes, or if you're a new inductee and you go more than your 3 minutes, we might have to do a yellow flag on you or a red flag and maybe one of those hook sticks and get you off. So if you could try as best you can to stay within that time frame, we would appreciate it. Because we have 17 inductees, we'll do 9 inductees, which I figure is going to take about 45 minutes, certainly no more than an hour, again, depending on how long the presenters and the inductees go. And then we're going to just take a 5-minute break. And we're doing that once so you can stretch your legs, and unfortunately it does get a little bit long sometimes. But we're also doing that so we can close the sports and celebrity memorabilia, and that's the only time that we can do it. So if we take that 5-minute break, it doesn't leave you a lot of time to go up and get another refreshment or stretch your legs, but most importantly, we want you to get over to sign your final, or put up your final bid on the sports memorabilia. And you'll notice to your right, I suppose, there is a sheet of paper on an easel. We're going to go ahead and write down the highest bid, or the winning bid, I should say, on that sheet. So at the end of the night, you're not having to come to one of us to say, did I win, did I win? It'll be on that sheet. Ray-Ellen, where are we going to put the sheet itself after the break, after all the bid sheets have been picked up? We're just going to leave it right there? Okay, so you can then just go by and take a look at the end of the evening. So once again, after our 5-minute break, that would be the time that you put your final bids in, and then by the end of the night, you can run up, and we'll by that time have all the names on the sheet. Don't forget your 50-50 raffle tickets. Just to kind of give you an idea of how successful this has been to the winner the past couple of years. In 2013, we paid out $475 to the lucky winner. Yeah, that's for sure. In 2014, we paid out $370, and last year we paid out $335. So you'll want to jump on board. The girls are still selling the raffle tickets, and you can still buy those through the end of the break. Are we going to sell any at the end of the evening, or are we just going to wrap that up, guys? Yeah, I know that. Okay, so we'll give you a chance after all of the presenters have been introduced and they've done all their things. We'll give you one last chance to buy some more raffle tickets if that's what you would like. And just so that you know it, all of the money that is collected for all of these items, whether it's the sports memorabilia, any live auctions that we might do, which we are going to do one of the footballs, by the way, at the end of the evening, we're going to auction off the football that has all the alumni signatures on it and the new inductees. and that'll be a live auction, as I said. So that money that's generated, along with the apparel and the AFA jewelry, that all goes into the operating fund of the AFA. So in addition to that, the contributions that many of our wonderful sponsors have done, this is just another opportunity that we can keep the AFA going, and it's very costly to keep this going with all the mailing and everything that we have to do. So just know that any money that is generated goes immediately back into the operation of the organization. Has everybody signed the ball? The new inductees, they'll sign both balls, and then just the alumni, the one ball? Sounds like, or looks like everybody has done that. Thank you very much. At the end of the evening, it's going to be a little bit of a chaos. It's very exciting because all of the 17 inductees will be in, so to speak. But we would like to take a picture of all the new inductees, and we'll do it over here, Dave? Yep. We'll do it over here? Okay, by the sign. And then all of the alumni will also come up with the new inductees after they take their first picture, or several pictures. Then we want all the alumni to come up so we can take a whole group picture of both groups. So if you can kind of keep that in mind as we go through the evening. We ask you to keep the conversations to a minimum if you can. That's both for a courtesy to your new inductees and your presenters that are up on the podium, but also for our live stream internet. If you talk at the table, sometimes it's difficult for our wonderful friends at home to hear. So just be respectful of the folks at the podium, if you will. At this point in time in the ceremony, we would like to take a moment of silence to finally remember our founder and leader of the AFA organization, Ron Reel, who left us 8 years ago in 2008. Ron and the AFA are synonymous with one another. You can't think of one without the other. You can't say one without the other. Ron, you are certainly missed, and we appreciate all that you have done bringing the AFA to what it is today. In addition to Ron, we unfortunately have lost 7 other AFA members that we'd like to announce to you. Merrill Deepringhouse? Dorpinghouse. Thanks, Dave. Donald Johnson, Leonard Duncan, Dick Attrue, Prince Hearns, Jane Dole, and Greg Skoronsky. So let us just take a moment of silence to give thanks to all these wonderful and devoted family members and friends for all their outstanding contributions that they have provided to the AFA. Thank you. And just lastly, a special thanks to all the Reel family. For those of you that don't know, Seal Reel, the husband of Ron, is sitting in the back room along with one of the daughters, Ray Ellen, who's over again on your right. They have put in so much into this organization, and their boys have as well. Mike, Rory, and Ross. The programs, for example, that you see in front of you are all produced in Chicago by the boys that are in the printing industry at no cost to the AFA. And again, even though Ron unfortunately is not with us physically, he certainly is with us spiritually. But to have the Reel family doing what they can to keep this organization going both financially and otherwise is a real credit. So I just want to shout out to all the Reel family and to Rhonda at home and the boys. Thank you for all that you have done for the AFA. We love you, and God bless you. And we have a couple volunteers also that are helping with all of the sales of the AFA logo wear and checking in people. That's Jan Aruybright, Cheryl Leonard, Mary Lockhart, and Diana Ashcraft. If you'd give those folks a round of applause for their generous help as well. Okay, we're finally at the point of getting the new inductee started. So without further ado, our first new inductee will be Lawrence Allen, and he will be presented by Brandy Harris. We're going to have them put on the coat over here, Dave. So and this will be for everybody as you're coming to the podium, whether you're on deck or as you been introduced, you'll go ahead and get your coat over here on the right, and then just pass through in the front and come up on stage, and then we'll do the presenting there. So if Lawrence Allen will come up, and then Brandy, you can just step here on the side until Lawrence gets his jacket on. And then on deck is going to be Richard Battaglia, and his presenter is going to be Chuck Marstow. Yeah, and you can just stay right here. Dave, you want to bring the jacket over? Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, yeah. It's good. If Richard and Brandy can come up on deck, we'd appreciate it.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to present my father, Lawrence Allen, or Big Bird, as all of his cohorts knew him. My Uncle Bucky, or as many of you know him as, Steve Denton, actually nominated him. They've been friends longer than I've been alive. So thank you to my Uncle Bucky, and thank you to the AFA as well. Lawrence Allen started his career as a defensive end and team captain for the original Des Moines Vikings football team in 1974. From 75 to 78, he was with the Newton Nighthawks in Iowa, one of the original players and captains of the Newton Nighthawks. As defensive end, Lawrence led the team to the Chicagoland football champion and also made Defensive All-League for 2 consecutive years. In 1977, he toured Europe with the Newton Nighthawks, and as part of the first American pro football team to play in Europe. He played in France, Germany, and Austria. He went on to win the European Professional Football Championships, and he captained the team on and off the field as well. So I've been told by many of his old players that he used to play with. In the early 80s, he was a part and one of the founders and head coach of the Des Moines Knights pro football. So, if you will welcome my dad, Lawrence Allen.
Thank you. Why do I always have to be first? That's my last name, Allen. Okay. I love my daughters. I walked to my daughter's house one day, and my 2 daughters said, "We're going to the AFA Hall of Fame." I said, "No, nothing about this." Okay, so totally surprised. Here we are, from all the way from Arizona, with my 2 daughters, and I'm happy that I was selected as a coach or player to the AFA Hall of Fame. Thank you very much.
Okay, Richard Battaglia and Chuck Marstow, if you can come on up, please. And then on deck will be Richard Sager, who's going to introduce permissively Bob Bean.
Good evening. You got to be kidding me. I've known this guy for 50 years. I played ball with him for 14. And you're telling me I got to cut this down to 2 minutes?
One now.
Rich asked me when he got selected to present him, he said, only talk about the good stuff. Don't talk about the bad stuff. So I thought long and hard, and I couldn't think of any of the good stuff. But I got a book of the bad stuff. Rich was always the captain of the team, but he also led the team one year in missed tackles, calling the wrong defenses all the time, always offsides, called too many timeouts for no reason, dropped any ball that got next to him for an interception. I could go on, but it's not worth it. Because like I said, I couldn't find anything good to say about him, but he's been my best buddy for 50 years. And I'm glad he's in the hall. Rich, come up.
Well, first, let's just say this was really a nice gathering here. And once again, the AFA has made it great. He's wrong on one thing, my buddy Charlie. We met 55 years ago when we were freshmen in high school. And he went away. I went away to college. He went and fought in the war, okay? And we got back together, and we played, 10 years together? And, you know, you don't have a lot of friends in your life that you could count on all the time. But I could count on Charlie. And, well, I know I got 3 minutes, but I don't want to look like a fool up here. So thank you to everybody at the table. And my boys are there too, which is nice. Thank you.
Our next inductee is being brought in posthumously, and he's going to be presented by Rick Sager. On deck is going to be Jamie Call with George Ashcraft as the presenter. So, come on up.
I'll try to keep this to 2 minutes. All right. Good evening. I'm here to tell you about a teammate and a friend, Bob Bean. We lost Bob on January 8th of this year after a courageous battle with cancer. And I know I speak for all of Bob's family, his teammates, opponents that are here in attendance, that we wish he was here to take part in this event, as his excitement would have been something to witness, shifting his weight side to side, his eyes as big as coffee saucers up here. But rest assured, along with some other AFA Hall of Famers, namely Bob Van Ness, Gary Shaver, and Jane Dole, who were involved with an opponent of ours, the Twin County Vikings, they're watching and probably discussing a 1976 game at Knox Field in Johnstown, played in a heavy fog. You couldn't see sideline to sideline. And there was a completed pass by the Vikings that gave them the victory, but there's still some question as to whether or not that receiver was on the field at the snap, but that's a whole nother story. Bob's quarterbacking career with the Glove Cities Colonials began in 1969 and went through 1982. With a record of 81 wins, 23 losses, he threw for a Colonial team record of 1,240 yards in 1977. That record, I believe, still stands. He also threw for 15 touchdowns in that 77 season. And I think what makes those numbers even more remarkable is that many of those games, Bob may have only played in the first half, as it was our coaching staff's philosophy that if we were up by 2 scores, the backups played. And Bob completely bought into that concept, as he's one of the most unselfish persons you could ever meet. He also earned Empire League All-Star status multiple times, League Offensive MVP in 1977, and Team MVP more times than I can count. In 1978, he was named the nation's top quarterback by Pro Football Weekly. In 1979, he earned a tryout with the Kansas City Chiefs. Bob was also recently honored by the Johnstown Little League with a bronze plaque that was placed on the concession building, citing his efforts as a coach, board member, and president. His unselfishness spilled into the AFA as Bob found out that his name was under consideration in 2015. I had many conversations with Bob, and he was absolutely adamant that his longtime teammate and longtime friend, Mike Malatino's name, go in. He felt Mike had the better resume. It was also a staple in his personal life, as Bob could also be found working in the local soup kitchen, helping those less fortunate. So to keep this under that time limit, I'll quit. We do have an audience tonight, his wife Joanne, his two sons, Bobby and Jason, grandsons Anthony and Michael, and without any further eloquence, accepting on Bob's behalf is his son, Bobby.
All right. I apologize ahead of time. It's only been 6 months. Haven't processed, all the way through here. But I want to first say thank you to Dave Birch and the board of directors and the whole AFA for honoring my father tonight. Rick Sager, thank you for nominating him. Also, thank you for Dad's friends for being here tonight. You guys meant a lot to him, obviously. So family really appreciates that you're here. And congratulations to the rest of the inductees tonight. I'm here just to confirm that he deserves to be here. Just as his oldest son, I got my brother here, Jason. He taught us a lot about life through football. Football was his life. Grew up in a small town upstate New York. Played for a great Glove Cities Colonials team that meant a lot to the community. It was definitely a part of the community's identity, and so it was a big part of our lives growing up. He was a good player. He was a good player, but he was very humble. It was the first thing he taught me. Like if I had $1 for every time someone said, "Oh, you're Bob Bean's son," I'd be a rich man. He's very humble. He's a great teammate. He made a lot of friends through football, and I've met a lot of them, and it was a huge part of his social life. And the team, like I said, it also meant a lot to the community. It was definitely a social event to go to the games in the 70s and the 80s, and they're still going strong too for 50 years now. But even after he was done playing, he then coached, and then after he was done coaching, my family moved to Florida, and he was still following them in our local newspaper, and giving me emails on updates. 30 years later, he'd still go up and watch their games every summer, from Florida. So it definitely was a big part of him, and I guess I did want to say last year he nominated Mike Malatino, who's right there, and I just remember him talking to me about that and just feeling really awful about not being able to make the trip, and so he was really beaming with pride there, Mike. Just want to let you know. And just in closing, when I say he would have been over the moon, kind of like Rick said, his eyes would have been as big as saucers. That's definitely true. And if the moon is shining brighter tonight, it's definitely my dad beaming with appreciation and pride. Thank you.
All right, Jamie Call will be your next inductee, presented by George Ashcraft. Daniel Coleman will be on deck with Skip Poole, his presenter. George, come on up, buddy.
Let me start, first of all, talking about a man that was a very good high school football player at Indian River High School. He was a wrestler, and he did very well in both sports at high school. He joined the Red and Black, played for 11 seasons as an offensive tackle, was his first position. But that wasn't enough because he was a part of 3 other great members of a team for a decade or more that broke all the records from quarterback into running backs, wide receivers, and it was because of the play of guys like Jamee that stuck together. He drove 40 miles one way to practice for 11 years. The guys in the locker room would get upset with him when he would say, you know, if you had 25 people at practice and some guys would say, let's not do it tonight, he'd say, are you kidding me? I got, 2 hours round trip here. We'll practice. And that was one of the reasons why we won about 100 games in that 10-year span, was because of people like him that just pushed. And he was a quiet leader. He was one of the captains. He hung around when other people didn't want to, and that was a feverish type thing. And I'm just proud to say that he's a good friend of mine. I've worked with him. He was a varsity wrestling coach at Indian River. He's won over 300 high school matches as a coach in wrestling, and that speaks for itself in today's society with kids. He can work with anybody, and I'm proud to introduce him right now. Jamie Call, come on up. You've got to say something. Jamie asked me to read this because he also lost his parents and whatnot, and he's got a lot of people that he wants to thank, and he don't think he could get through it without getting choked up, so I'll read this for him. He wants to thank the committee for choosing him to be a member of the 2016 Hall of Fame. This is truly an honor. My football career began in 8th grade at Indian River High School. Later, I was part of the Red and Black football team, which is the oldest semi-pro team in the history. Being a part of the Red and Black family was a very special honor. Thank you to Coach Ashcraft and Coach Britton for giving me the opportunity to play for you. Thank you to Sam Verbeck for your hard work as our trainer. Thank you to Diana and the entire Ashcraft family for your support at all the games and your dedication to the Red and Black. I was fortunate enough to play with fellow Hall of Famers, Doug Black, who was our quarterback for that period of time. He leads the Red and Black in all pass completions and touchdown passes. Thank you to Al Countryman, who leads the Red and Black with the most rushing yards and touchdowns as a running back, and to Ernie Wash, who leads the Red and Black with the most touchdowns and receiving yards as a wide receiver, and Lynn Patrick, who was an outstanding defensive player. A few other teammates that made my time with the Red and Black special are Adam Brown, Brandon Payne, Aaron Brown, Dave McNeil, and too many others to mention. This brotherhood that was formed will always be a part of my life. I was fortunate enough to have the support of my family. My parents, Leon and Barbara, father-in-law, Everett, Uncle Whip, cousin Mike, my wife, and my daughters would always be in the stands supporting me. Today, I am a supporter of the Red and Black. I help the organization out when I can. I am currently the varsity wrestling coach at Indian River. It is an honor when I would watch my former wrestlers play football and carry on with the Red and Black tradition. Thank you to Jack and Janet, Katie, Carly, and Denise for making the trip to Ohio. To me, celebrating, congratulations to Jerry Levine, who is also being inducted tonight. Thank you to Steve Weed and Steve Hall for your continued support of the Red and Black. Thank you, Red and Black, for providing me with so many memories, friendships, and a continued love of the sport. Thank you to everyone who made this ceremony possible. I am humbled to be here tonight. Jamie Call.
Right, your next new inductee will be Daniel Coleman. His presenter is going to be Skip Poole. Adam Hoffman is on deck, and I'm not sure if it's going to be Chaz Brown coming up or Chad Fusen, but anyway, you guys are up on deck over to your right. Skip, come on up.
It's such an honor to be here and with the AFA and be a part of the AFA. It was a wonderful organization, and I'm here to present one of my longtime players. He played for me for approximately 13 years. He's just one of those players that a coach relishes and looks forward to seeing him on the field every day. You know, God didn't put anybody here to be ordinary. You know, God put everybody here for a purpose. And this young man has used every bit of his God-given talent to make an impact on this wonderful game we call football. I am just so very excited to present him and have him to be part of this great organization. And I'd like to introduce Daniel Coleman.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank God for bringing us all here. Even the ones who are not here, they are still here with you. No matter what you do, no matter what travels you take, they will be with you. And on that, I am so nervous right now. But I'm also very humble to be a part of this family, this organization, to even be considered. I was happy. I'd like to thank my mom, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. And for her putting out all the time she did as a single mother, putting up with 3 big-headed boys, and just showing me the love that she always shared. And try to mold me into the man that I try to be today. I'm not saying I'm a great one, but I'm still a work in progress. And I'd like to thank Coach Poole for, well, he took me under his wing when he came to Chattanooga. I was kind of an angry young man. I just didn't like myself, didn't like life, and I'd like to thank you for turning me around. And once again, thank you. I'm very humbled, and I appreciate it, and thank you, Mr. Birch.
Okay, Adam, you're up. And on deck's going to be James Johnson with Hal Lockhart doing the presenting. Okay, come on up, buddy.
All right, I'll try to be short and sweet since I got blamed for being long-winded last year.
2 minutes.
Okay. Normally, this guy doesn't need any introduction anywhere he goes, but tonight he's going to have to deal with it. So I'll tell a quick story. I was trying to build a program in 2009, and I needed to find some offensive linemen. And he played for a spring team called the Frederick Outlaws, and I saw him playing in Chambersburg. And me and a couple of our other guys were out there, and I kind of stood there and I said, that's him. He's the one that's going to make it happen. And I told him, I said, we got to get him. And that's what we did. We went out, we got him, convinced him to play, twisted his arm. It wasn't easy, but he ended up in Chambersburg. And I guess the rest is sort of history. 4 years in, 40 wins, 2 championships later, he was the anchor of our offensive line the entire time. And but aside from what he did on the field, what he did off the field for our community is what means more to me than anything. To this day, 4 years after he took the field, his "Who's Got My Back" motto and slogan, the youth football programs still carry on in the community as their slogan and motto for taking the field. And what he meant to the community and what he did for our community will mean more to me than anything he did on the field. So it's an honor to be here and present him as a player in the AFA Hall of Fame.
Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm normally quite loud anyway. Where to start? The honor that I feel sitting in the same room with so many that I see wearing the same jacket that came before me is quite the honor. To know what this organization stands for, and for me to even be considered. I told Chad, Chazzy, and Charles that I have no idea what I did to deserve it, but I will humbly accept it anyway. I will keep pushing forward and do what I can. My mother and father, my dad was my first football coach ever, and Lord, the way he ran me, you'd think I'd be a track star today. It was bad. To all the coaches that I've ever had, who I'm sure went home every night and shook their head and said, Lord, why me? They stuck with it. My three wonderful kids, Destiny, Savannah, and Bryce, they've been supportive of me every time. Every time I wanted to say I want to retire, it was them. And, of course, Chad would call them up and, hey, I got a whole bag of candy bars I'll give you if you get your father to come play again. So, yeah, I think you do. So fighting through that, but it's been to be in this hall. To be part of this, it's just the words escape me. It's such a great feeling. To the whole board, Dave, when I got the call from him, I'm sure I said some things I didn't really mean, but it was hard to believe it then. It's hard. It's hard. Thank you all. And the inductees for this year, congratulations. Reading over top your accomplishments. I'm proud to be part of this 2016 class. Thank you, everyone.
Your seventh new inductee is James Johnson. Hal Lockhart's going to be the presenter. And then on deck is going to be Larry Johnson with Tommy Robinson. So, Hal, come on up.
Thank you. I'd like to, before I introduce James Johnson, I'd like to say a little word about Ron Reel. Ron Reel is the reason you're here tonight. If there'd never been a Ron Reel, you wouldn't be here. If Ron Reel hadn't been the man that he was, you wouldn't be here. Ron Reel started the AFA. And the nice thing about Ron Reel was Ron cared about people. I'll give you an example. We were here one night, and I said, nice tie you got there, Ron. This is that tie. He took it off and gave it to me on the spot. And the reason you're here and the reason I'm here is a wonderful, unselfish man. And all you'll find about Ron is in the front cover, inside front cover, down at the bottom left, his name in small print. But my God, we owe an awful lot to that man. Okay? All right. Mr. James Johnson come to me from Caroline County High School, a small school over in Central Virginia. He's too little to play football. But I'm stupid. I give everybody a chance. I can't tell you may be a football player if you're that small. So I put him out on the field. He's the hellacious player you've ever seen. No college training, nothing. Then I figured out he's a natural. He's just natural. He's just good. There's people like that, I guess. And he was one of them. We eventually played Jay at right corner. My defense, I'm a professional coach. It's what I did for a living for many years. And I know a lot. But anyhow, one of the things we did, we played a 4-deep umbrella and rotated the thing and left this young man out in right field by himself.
everybody would look at him, the teams we'd play, and the first time we played them, they'd put their tallest guy out on the field and lob the ball down the field, not realizing he had a vertical jump of 30-some inches. So the big tall guy'd reach up, Jay's hands be up here. The second time we played him, they didn't try Jay too much. He is one of the most enjoyable players I ever played with. You can read his exploits in the thing, but I'll tell you this. The Ravens played football to have fun. And not very many people had more fun than this gentleman right here. James Johnson.
A little nervous. First, I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I also want to thank the AFA for this honor. I also want to thank Coach Lockhart and Miss Lockhart. She's over there. They are great people. I also want to thank, I have a cousin, Ricky Price, that played. He was the one that introduced me to semi-pro football. So I do want to thank him. I want to thank my mom for coming out. I want to thank my wife for coming with me. It was an older guy back in the day. I told him I played semi-pro football. He was like, "You play semi-pro football? You're too small to play semi-pro football. You don't have enough," I would say, backside to check someone like Jerry Rice. I said, "I don't play professional football. I play semi-pro football." So when he told me that motivated me to, if I played anybody in the semi-pro football league, they was not going to catch anything on me. That was my motivation, to give it everything I had to play football. So people that doubt you, no one can doubt you. If it's in you, it's in you. So I just want to thank everybody. Thank the AFA again. Thank Coach Lockhart, Ms. Lockhart. Thanks, everybody.
Your next new inductee will be Larry Johnson. Presenter Tommy Robinson, come on up, Tommy. And then on deck will be Stanley Kucharski with his lovely daughter, Kaylee Kucharski. Looking good. No, you're not doing 10 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. I just asked Greg if I could have 10 minutes.
No.
Everybody else cut theirs short.
All right, 5.
Okay. I'm very proud to have this opportunity to speak tonight, and I'm not going to take 10 minutes. I don't have that much. Yes, I do. Let me see. I just want to talk about a young man whose secret nickname was Highway 66. And as you look up behind me on my left and right, you can see why. And I shouted out the plays from the sideline, Highway 66. Hey, coach, what play? I said, Highway 66. And they ran it right there. And this gentleman, along with some teammates of his, would tell the defense where they were going. Literally, just say, we're coming here. You're in the route of Highway 66. And he had the opportunity to block for 3 different 1,000-yard rushers. He had the opportunity to play 13 seasons for me. As I'm presently the head coach, 27th year. And this gentleman played in all the All-Star games as a lineman and ended up at the end of the game as MVP. Which was pretty much unheard of at the time as a lineman. He introduced me to the term pancake. I was a little slow.
But I would hear him chatter to the guys, hey, I got 8 pancakes. I go home and count them. I got highlight reels. And I didn't know what pancakes were. Do you guys know what that is? I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. And he made me aware of what a pancake was because he had so many. And he showed me. And I couldn't do nothing but believe it because I ran Highway 66 all day long. You know, to have 3 different rushers rush for 1,000 yards in 13 seasons, that's phenomenal. But this gentleman, as 100% of the people in this room, I can feel it and I can see it and I can hear it, especially in the young man, share one thing: love and passion for the game. You wouldn't be here if you didn't have love and passion for the game when you played, or you wouldn't have coached them if they didn't have love and passion for the game. But what happens, I just heard a coach say a few days ago, what makes him very proud is when his students or players, his former players, come back and introduce their children to them. That makes him most proud. Because you have transferred that love and passion of the game to life and family. Love of the family. Am I right? I know 100% of you feel the same. And it's a great opportunity tonight to present Larry Johnson, Highway 66.
Thank you. I want to thank the AFA for this honor, being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I also want to thank my family for the support that they've given me, my fiance, my 2 kids, for sticking by me. I also want to thank my mother, who signed me up for football when I was a kid, and signed me up every year after that. When I got in high school, she came out to the game, supported me, or the team, and I can remember being in the film room when we're watching film, and you could hear, "Let's go, Bogan, number 66," and the coach would keep rewinding and say, "Who is that lady?" And I just kind of like, you know, but the guys knew it was my mother. But anyway, I also need to thank a buddy of mine, George, who introduced me to semi-pro and the Falcons. George is my buddy from high school. We met in high school. We've been, you know, all through high school, and we went to different colleges where we came back to play semi-pro. But he kind of elevated my game to where it gotten to in trying to keep up with him. So thank you for that, George. Also got to thank a couple of other teammates, a guy by the name of Big Mike Whitney, and Will, who played on the side of me. Made my job so much easier. Also, the running back, George, his name was George, we called him Little George, but he was a running back, one of the 1,000-yard rushers, who also made my job as a lineman so much easier because I didn't really have to do a lot because he made the defensive lineman move. I want to thank the coach, Rob and Cove. One thing that you did was took me off the defensive line, which I hated because that's what I do, and made me an offensive lineman. And I took that as you know, kind of like a pride thing in that I couldn't get the glory of playing on the D-line, but I could get some glory on the offensive line by dominating the defensive linemen. So that's what I shift my focus to.
And I fortunately was able to accomplish that because I'm here. One thing I wanted to say about football was that it taught me a strong work ethic that I carry with myself today, which I'm sure anybody that's played had to have a strong work ethic to get to this point. And also want to thank my daughter for sharing her birthday with me on this day. Thank you. And in closing, I just wanted to say to my kids, like some other people may have said, Daddy was good. Thank you.
All righty. Our ninth new inductee is going to be Stanley Kucharski. I say final, then we're going to be taking a 5-minute break after Stan with his lovely daughter Callie presenting him. So Callie, come on up. You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Inductees, alumni, AFA committee members, family, and friends. Tonight, on behalf of my family, I have the extreme honor of introducing a man who has touched the lives of so many with his true love for the game of football. This man encompasses so many wonderful qualities, it really is hard for me to sum it up into a few brief words. He is a true, selfless, humble man who has a heart of gold. This man is my father, Stanley Kucharski. My entire life, the game of football has been a big part of our family. My first game at 10 weeks old up until this past football season, Fridays meant game nights in our house, cheering on our #1 guy. However, his passion and love for this game begins long before I was even born. As a young man growing up in a smaller community, sports took center stage. My dad was a 4-sport athlete: football, basketball, baseball, and track. He excelled at all these sports with hard work and determination. However, the talent he possesses in the game of football was undeniable. He was constantly working hard, improving his natural talent, saying, "I am never good enough." After being a standout high school athlete, he moved on to college at Bloomsburg University, where he became a highly recognized name in the Huskies lineup. Breaking a number of state and national records, he was a driving force on the field. This led to the attention from the NFL, where my dad's exceptional abilities, natural talent, hard work ethic were hard to pass by and ignore. After some time playing professional football, my dad transitioned into coaching. This gave him the opportunity to share his knowledge and love for the game with his coaching staffs and players. Coaching truly was the bridge that allowed him to continue being involved in something that was so dear to his heart. The pride, passion, competitive spirit, devotion, and true love my dad has for all aspects of his life are without a doubt impressive. He possesses these qualities on and off the field, which is so rare and admirable. I'm beyond proud to be his daughter. The love I have for him and the extreme pride I take in being his daughter is the truest form of love I know. My whole life, I have been such a daddy's girl, looking up to him as my hero and my protector. As my mom likes to joke, we are the same person inside and out. This is the highest form of a compliment I can ever receive from anyone. My heart runs so deep for you, Dad. You are an incredible husband, father, son, brother, uncle, and friend. So, Dad, let me take this moment to thank you. Thank you for setting the bar so high for my brothers, Christopher, Alec, and myself. Thank you for loving our mom with the purest of hearts. Thank you for being a loyal, genuine friend. Thank you for being the best brother your siblings could ever ask for. Thank you for being the fun-loving uncle I know my cousins adore. Thank you for instilling your love for football in all your coaches and players. Thank you for just being you. I also would like to thank Chick Rader for nominating my dad this evening and giving him this incredible honor, which is so worthy. Dad, I love you unconditionally, and I hope I make you proud every day. Ladies and gentlemen, please do me the honor of welcoming my dad, Stan Kucharski.
How do you follow this? Thank you, Kaylee, very much. I want to thank the American Football Association and particularly Dave Birch, a former rival of mine up in the Tri-City Jets, the Binghamton Jets, for extending me this opportunity to be part of this great organization. I'm humbled and I'm grateful to have been selected. My daughter and the previous introducer talked about the passion that we have for this game. I know sometimes it's hard for ladies, even my wife, to grasp just how much football means to men. And you can't be involved in football at any level unless you do have that passion. And that's one of the things that I've carried through. As you look up here, it's hard to imagine envisioning me as a junior in high school as a middle linebacker at 115 pounds. But that was me. I probably played in 10 varsity football games during my high school career. I wasn't very good. I was slow, I was small, I was weak. Fortunately, maturity provides some gifts, and I was able to play college football. I was able to sign 3 NFL contracts, Green Bay Packers, the Atlanta Falcons, and the last one with the old Baltimore Colts. I tried my best. It might not have been good enough, but that's for another day. I've coached for close to 5 decades. I've been a football coach. I was a head coach for 29 years. I've coached at Princeton University. I coached for semi-pro Lackawanna County Eagles, Scranton Wilkes-Barre Eagles. Coached for 2 years at Lackawanna College in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And it's been a blessing for me to have an opportunity to transfer the passion that I have and the love that I have for athletics into the young men that I've had the opportunity to deal with. As I looked at the program tonight, I noticed quite a number of my teammates when I played in Scranton, people that I coached when I coached in Scranton, and some players that I played against in my college and career particularly. So it's absolutely wonderful to be a part of this organization. I want to thank everyone, my wife, my son Alec, my son Christopher, who couldn't be here, for accompanying me, and this has been a great ride, and it's been an enjoyable experience. And I want to congratulate all the other inductees. I was a little shocked when I got the phone call, to be honest with you, simply because it's been so long since I've been a part of the play. But I'm very grateful. Thank you and have a great night.
Again, I would like to thank a few people myself. Again, CO Real, thank you. Thank you to the girls. Thanks to Dave Birch for keeping this going the way he does. He's a real major part of everything that goes on. Dave is. There isn't much he can't do with a computer and figure out. The only person I know that's probably more wittier is this photographer over here when it comes to computer work. Your picture's not up there, is it, Dave? So we won't add that last thing for him. Okay. Most of you's probably seen it last night. The next person I'm going to talk about is one of the reasons why I'm in my 26th year being the head coach of the Watertown Red and Black. It's because of people like him, as it was Jamie Call, being an 11-year player. It's all about the players. I played on the Red and Black back in the 70s for 3 years against the Bobby Beans. I understand the game,
And I was never the best at anything I've ever done in my life, but somebody earlier stressed the word passion. This man that I'm going to introduce has got passion beyond belief. He's coached over 1,500 high school games with girls basketball, football for the kids, baseball, softball, you name it, he's done it. He's going to embark upon a 300-win career for girls high school basketball at Watertown next season. He's only got just a couple, 3 wins away from that. And he's my right-hand man. He's the best offensive coordinator that I've ever had. There's been a lot of work done this last 6 months. This season so far, we're off to a 3-0 start preseason ball, and it's because of just the passion that Jerry Levine has for coaching. And at this time, I'd like to introduce the newest member to this year's class, Jerry Levine.
First of all, I too stand here very humbled, but I'm also very proud to represent the city of Watertown and our Red and Black organization up here tonight. I'd like to thank Dave Birch, Seal Reel, and the entire American Football Association for considering me for this award. I too was shocked when I received the phone call, but very, very grateful. I think the biggest thing for me is I've really enjoyed the last few days meeting all you people, made some new friends, met some alumni, and it's really exciting, and I feel blessed to stand here with all the elite of the AFA. As great as this honor is to me, probably the greatest honor I've had is working under and being best friends with what I consider an icon in semi-pro football, George Ashcraft. Words cannot do justice to what George, his lovely wife Diana, their family have done and meant to me and my family as well. The Ashcraft family for 20 years has done an unparalleled job in promoting semi-pro football in our area, throughout the EFL, so on and so forth. And the fact that we coach for the oldest semi-pro team in the nation makes it even more special. So I want to say thank you first, Coach, for being #1 in my book. I'd also like to thank our new owners. We were bought this year by a car dealership, Billy and Charlie Caprera. They've come in and they've made things so much easier for us, gave us a big boost, and I look forward to working with them. Also, I'd like to, first of all, say thank you to one of my high school coaches. Believe it or not, I was a soccer player until 8th grade. Believe it or not. All right. One day I was in a pool playing around in gym class, and a couple guys whipped footballs around the pool, and I just stuck my hand up, pulled it out of the air one time, pulled it out of the air another time, and he says, hey, you play football? I said, no, I'm a soccer player. He goes, how about giving football a try? So Bill Wallace took me under his wing, got me into the game of football, taught me about the game, taught me about life lessons as well. His intensity that he coached with, his passion, and his commitment to the game really rubbed off on me. It made me want to become a football player, #1, but also set the path for me becoming a coach later in life. So I want to say thank you to Coach Wallace for installing all those things in me, and to think I could be home watching Euro soccer tonight instead of being here. Thank you. Red and black football is always going to be a part of my life. It's funny because for 53 years, I've lived 40 steps from midfield of our football field. Our game field for all the early years of red and black games when we used to draw 3,000 to 4,000 fans is 40 steps from my house to that field. So for 53 years, and I'm still there, I could walk. Not many players could go home at halftime, have a drink, use the bathroom, comb their hair, and then go back across the street and play. But I had that opportunity. And like I said, I've grown to be red and black. I was a head coach 3 years. Probably the best thing that ever happened to the organization was my last year. I stepped down and Coach took over, and history since then has been made. So Coach, I'm glad I got out when I did and that you took over. I served as an offensive coordinator the past few years. It's allowed me to work with very special players. Not only red and black, but in my 33 years in high school, I've coached so many teams, so many games. I do girls basketball, so if I repeat myself tonight, it's because every time I call a play, I have to repeat it 3 or 4 times. So I'm used to repeating myself. But again, I've had the opportunity to coach special players, and where we live, we have a lot of military guys, and just some of the friendships I made with them, and the honor to coach men of the military, and they're fighting 1 minute for our lives and everything else, the next minute they're playing football for you. So it's quite an honor to be able to work with the military. Winning the 2009 championship, very special because I thought it revitalized football that was lagging a little bit in Watertown, not only high school and for Watertown High School and everywhere else. Personally, it was very rewarding for me because my son, who was 8 years old at the time, was our ball boy. And to win the title with him there and the team presenting him with a championship ring that I wear was quite an honor and quite a priceless moment for me. So I appreciate our organization for doing that. Now, as I embark on this season, I have the opportunity to coach my new son-in-law. My daughter and my son-in-law just got married recently. And I look into the stands now and I see my first grandchild at 5 months old. You know, and she's in her full red and black apparel, so it's pretty exciting to coach and be a part of it. I have some very important thank yous first. Obviously, Coach Ashcraft, for your faith in me. Fellow coaches that I work with now, Guest, Kai, Dale, Rob, and Coach Lounsbury, who's joined us this year. Thanks for all you do. You make us better. You make me better. Red and black players, high school players, and even my kids in North Elementary, who I've taught for 27 years. I thank them for all their commitment and what they've given me. My daughters, Alexandra, Michaela, my birthday girl daughter tomorrow, Hannah, and my son Noah. Thanks for your support, encouragement. And, you know, obviously I love all of them, and their encouragement has meant a lot. To my number one person, my wife, Marianne, who's out here with me, thanks for your support and unwavers. It's not easy being the wife of a coach. There's a lot of highs and lows. She even scheduled our wedding honeymoon around the game so that I could be there for the game. True story. And I couldn't do that without you, so thank you, honey. I love you very much, and you've been a very important part of this. My extended family, my sister, relatives, thanks for their support. The only thing that stinks tonight, both my parents are deceased. They installed a lot of values in me, which I carry on today in teaching, coaching, life. I know my dad's smiling tonight. In closing, I want to congratulate all the inductees tonight. I, too, was a big fan of Bob. I got to watch him as a teenager growing up. I used to go over and yell and scream against the Colonials all the time, still do. But I definitely enjoyed watching some of the guys in here playing, coaching against some of the people. And again, like somebody else said, looking down that list, there's so many people I've seen play or gone against. It's really exciting. And finally, I never considered myself a Hall of Fame coach. What I always hoped was when I was done with my teaching and coaching that people might consider me a Hall of Fame person. And that's what I continue to strive for. Coaching is one thing, being a class person is another, and that's my goal, is to continue to strive and be the best person I can be. Red and black forever. Jamie, again, congratulations. Coach, thank you. Thank you to everybody here. AFA, really appreciate it. And everyone enjoy the night. Thank you.
I was just asking Mr. Birch about our next inductee, Steve Metachowicz. Unfortunately, Steve is not here, nor is his presenter. And I was asking Dave what we should do as far as an introduction. We obviously want to give him acknowledgement for a great accomplishment, but unfortunately, I don't know Steve that well. Does anybody in the room know him, Dave, at all?
Oh, I know everybody.
Right, yeah, that's true.
Because I'm the one that read all the resumes and put everything together in the bios. But Steve is from Washington State, and he participated in that league for years. He coached there, and he also participated with a couple of NFL teams. So his sponsor was Mark Meadows, and Mark was driving in, I believe from Minnesota, and he had a breakdown, so that's why he's not here. But Steve has been on our radar screen for a number of years. You know, one of the things about the process is you can be nominated one year, you might not get in because of you know, the evaluation criteria, but as you get subsequent nominations, in my evaluation criteria, you get more points, okay? And he's been nominated over the years about 5 different times, okay? So things finally worked out this time for him as far as all of the data and ranking and that kind of thing that we do. And unfortunately, like I said, he couldn't be here with us tonight, but that's the summary of his career there. And again, we had a lot of neat comments from a few NFL scouts about him because he had done some work at that level for a number of years too. Okay, so there you have it with Steve. All right, good. And I'll make sure that Steve gets this as well as his other memorabilia.
Oh, good.
Okay,
Thank you.
good.
All right, our next inductee is going to be Marvin Morgan. His presenter is going to be Norm Mann. And on deck is going to be Mike Robichuk, with his presenter being Dave Fleck. So if Marvin and Norm can come up. Yeah. Yep.
Like we have a thing here that Marv likes to do when we're working together. He says, "Are we going into I formation or split backfield?" So when you see him walking behind me, that's what we do. Anyway, tell you a little bit about Marv. I had the opportunity of meeting Marv in 1981. Actually, he had just come out of the service, and I was coaching a team called the New Jersey Bears, and he decided that he wanted to come out and try to play semi-pro football. And Marv was in the Army, and he had a very cocky attitude or whatever, but for whatever reason, we just didn't click too well, and I told Marv, "You could never play for me," and he made me out of a liar because he'd been with me from 1981 to close to, actually 2013 or whatever there, so we've been together for a very, very long time. As you can see on the sides there, he has a host of accomplishments, playing with several teams. Marv made the first team Empire Football League All-Star team 12 out of 13 years. And he also led the league in interceptions 6 out of 12 years, and he also had a host of Empire Football League championships. But the fondest moment I have with Marv, and I have to tell this story, I know he's gonna hate me when I tell this story here, but one year Marv came out, we had a mini camp, and Marv came out dressed in this black armor wear. He was laid down to the T. And as you can see on the film, on the board, I noticed that all the recipients were in football gear or whatever, but Marv, you see, he sent his picture in a white suit. Well, Marv came out to this mini camp, and he was dressed in all black because the colors of the team, the Newburgh Raiders, was black and silver like the Oakland Raiders. And he had on black tights and black tight shirt and white gloves and a white sweatband or whatever. And I told a couple of my coaches, I said, "Oh my God, look at Marv, man, he looks good." He was cut real well and all, you know, so you can see that he had actually been working out quite well in the off season. So anyway, it was time for him to run the 40, and he gets up to the starting line, and he starts kicking like the NFL robot, shaking his hands and kicking his feet and shaking and whatever. And I'll tell you, I actually believe that the NFL got that from Marvin because he did that before it came out. If you watch the NFL, when it comes on, you see the little robot there, the little mechanical robot, and he's shaking and he's doing that stuff there. Well, Marv did the exact same thing. So I told Marv, I said, "Well, Marv," I was hollering him down at the other end. I said, "Marv, it's on you, it's on you." So he got down to a starting position, and stood up again and started shaking again or whatever. And I told one of my other coaches again, I said, man, Marv looks good. I tell you, he's going to run a good 40. He's going to run a good 40. And the coach said, Coach, you know Marv cannot run a 40. He cannot run a 4.5, 4.4 40. I said, no, but he looks good. He looks good. Anyway, the third time we did it, we held the clock up, and I said, Marv, it's on you, it's on you. And he took a deep breath, and he took off about 5 feet and grabbed his groin and said, oh, I can't run. Oh, I can't run. and Coach Smith said, I told you he didn't want to run that 40. I told you that. But we've had a great time together for the number of years that we've been together. And Marv has not only been one of my best ball players, he's also been one of my best friends there. And it was a pleasure for me to nominate him to accept this award. Thank you very much.
Wow, he really put me on the spot. I'm honored to be here tonight, along with the nominees. I'm shook right now. I really don't know what to say. But I have a host of people that I would like to thank, starting with my mother. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. My wife, my daughter, for putting up with me, going through all this training for years. I played this game for about 30 years in pads. Retired when I was about 46. Still around the game now, coaching. Wanted to give back. Want to give thanks to Ed Cole, the owner of the Newburgh Raiders. Norman Mann, my head coach, who's been with me since 19. Just want to say thank you. Thank you and God bless you. I'm not going to take too much of your time.
Right here to your right. Right, our next inductee is Mike Robachek. Dave Fleck's going to introduce him. Then Charlie Sampson is going to be presented posthumously by Don Kempf. So Dave, come on up.
Good evening. Boy, I love football. I love the AFA. We're in the Hall of Fame. Think about it. Think where we're at when we started playing football, and here we are. I have to thank everybody, the board of directors. I go back, I played or coached for Thornville back in 1980 down in New Orleans, and they put together a great organization. And the matriarch, Seal, of the AFA, you know, did a great job. So I'm here to introduce a friend of mine, probably my best friend. I've known him for 44 years. He hails from Scranton, Taylor, Pennsylvania. He's a tough guy. You got to be a tough guy in Scranton. You haven't anything else to do but dig coal and fight. So Mike's been my best friend. He's been a teammate. He's been a player. He's been a player coach. In fact, he's played with and or coached 6 AFA Hall of Famers, and some of them are in this room tonight. He played many years with a back brace. He'd just pull it up tight and go in and do his job. You couldn't ask for a better person, a better friend, a better football player. He gave everything and asked for nothing in return. In fact, Mike went to the University of Richmond, and back in the day, Mr. Birch lived right across the park from the football field, and him and his friends had a unique way of getting in the stadium without paying. By the way, I sent a letter to the athletic department. Your bill's on its way for all the games you got into. So if you look at the way life goes in football, There's Dave Birch, there's Mike Robichuk, University of Virginia. He's sneaking in the games to watch them. Played against each other when Binghamton played the Maulers, and here we are tonight. Can't get any better than that. I just want to tell one quick story about Mike, University of Virginia, 6'4", 260 pounds from Scranton, goes down to University of Virginia. That's a big boy back in the early 60s. Well, they got the bright idea down in Richmond to make Mike a tight end instead of a tackle, and told him that he had to come back at 240 pounds. He was 260 or 265, I think. So you go back to Scranton, you got to get a job. Mike got a job in a bakery. True story now. He got a job as a Twinkie stuffer. And a cupcake stuffer. You know the little holes, you pull it back down? Well, that was his job. So Mike goes back to Richmond. He's supposed to be 240 because that's where they want him to keep his scholarship. The Twinkie man comes back at 280. He ran into his legs fell off. So that story still cracks me up after all these years. Mike is the son of Mike and Gladys Robochek. He is the proud father of Laura and Michael Robochek, and he has his partner here, Carol. There's not a person that I know that gives more to the game of football than Mike Robichuk, a.k.a. Twinkie Man. Come on, Michael.
He had to go there, the Twinkie story. First and foremost, I want to thank Laura, and I want to thank Carol, I want to thank Jim and Rebecca for driving out all the way out to Ohio here to be with me tonight. Thank you so much. Secondly, I want to thank the following members of the present Hall of Fame AFA. First, I want to thank Dave Fleck, who just presented me. Besides from being a terrific friend, he's probably the most fierce and savvy linebacker I was ever around in semi-pro football. And on top of that, just an incredibly dedicated and intense head coach as you'll ever come across. And some of you people here come across a lot of coaches. I want to thank Mike Gallio, one of the best all-around defensive backs I ever saw, and also an excellent teacher and defensive coordinator to this day with incredible semi-pro longevity. Thank you, Mike. I want to thank Steve Bailey, one of the most aggressive and agile linebackers and special team players that I was ever around. And again, another one with incredible semi-pro longevity. Thank you, Steve. I want to thank Mike Myers, simply one of the most solid and dependable and consistent offensive linemen year after year that I was associated with. Thank you, Mikey. I want to thank Tom Manny, who's not here tonight, one of the strongest and best defensive tackles I was ever around, and also a very good semi-pro coach. I want to thank Charlie Mitchum, who's not here tonight, but simply the very best semi-pro center that I ever was associated with, and he too had tremendous semi-pro longevity. Last but not least, I want to thank Mr. Dave Birch over here for his untiring professional efforts on behalf of the AFA. Unbelievable guy. Thank you very much.
Right, our next inductee will be Charlie Simpson, and he will be presented by Dave Kempf. And then on deck is going to be Rodney Ellis Slade posthumously, and he'll be introduced by Hal Lockhart. All right? Dave, come on up.
Hi, everybody. I'm Don Kempf. I'm a class of 2012 and here to induct and accept the awards on behalf of my best friend and teammate, Charlie Sampson. I would not be here without him. I would not be in the AFA without him. He made a dream come true for me. I was all my life wanted to be a football player. I could catch, I could run. I was just a skinny little kid, couldn't make a team. Met him in high school. I gave up on football. I played basketball, which is where I met him. Which is where our friendship grew. After high school, he got on the team, and he says, come on. He goes, come on and play. I was scared to death. I came out. I knew I could run. I knew I could catch, but that ain't all there's to it. I had to learn how to block. It was tough. I had a technique, but mostly it was the toughness and the confidence that Charlie instilled in me every day, telling me you can do this, trying to show me just how to hit somebody, and I'll get into that in a little bit because he was a hammer. But the turning point in my career that got me here, playing tight end, we have a play. When I'm the tight end, we run a sweep. My job is basically to chip the outside linebacker, turn into the middle, and let their fire-breathing, muscle-head middle linebacker run me over. And this happened over and over again. Trying to learn how to do it, trying to watch Charlie, how he hits. And one other time I got a chance. One of the big guys, I was scared to death. And at the last second, I just tried to do what he does. I dropped that back foot, lowered my head, and I absolutely planted this guy. Now, I'm sure you all know the first time you've ever planted somebody, that feeling you had was great. But to look on the sidelines and to see Charlie jumping up and down and screaming, that turned my career around, and I'm forever indebted to him. Now about Charlie. He was a hammer. In high school, I didn't know him at first, went to the games. He was a safety. And, you know, if somebody's helmet flew off, you knew Charlie hit him. If somebody's mouthpiece went flying, you knew Charlie hit him. If somebody was going to the sidelines to get equipment repair, you knew Charlie hit him. He was a gamer, and that trickled into practice, which kind of annoyed me sometimes because all he wanted to do was play the game and hit. And when the season was underway, we would practice on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays was, you know, shorts and helmets, and Thursdays we hit. Tuesdays practice, I couldn't find him. Never could find him. Call him up, he's gone, he found some excuse, but come Thursdays, he's bugging me. You're gonna be on time, you're gonna pick me up, we gotta go, we're gonna be late. Because he wanted to go and he wanted to hit. Statistics are hard to judge him because most teams ran away from him. He was a defensive end, and they soon learned to go the other way. So, you know, he may not have had all the tackles, you know, he wasn't a stat sheet stuffer, but he was a gamer. If the game was close at the end, you needed that fumble. Charlie hit the guy, coughed the ball up. If you needed that punt blocked, it was Charlie. If you needed that quarterback sack in that last minute on their drive to prevent them from scoring, Charlie was the one who got it. So he was just, he loved the game and he loved people. He was not one of those guys who would be spitting and screaming and yelling. He'd be smiling and laughing. And he'd knock you down, and he'd be the first one over to help you back up again. Good friend of mine was telling me the other day at practice, you know, he got absolutely planted by Charlie, and he's laying on his back, and Charlie leans over and picks him up. He goes, "Isn't this great?" But that's how he was. He loved people, he loved the game, and he left us in '02, and they said it was his heart, and Must have been because it was too big. I'd like to, his son, James, would like to say a couple of words.
Well, we have a beautiful gathering here today, that's for sure. I didn't get much time with my father, but out of the 8 years that I did, I would say about 40 to 50% of the conversations were about football. It's really more than just a sport. It trickles down through your family, through your life, and I can see that in everybody here today with all their beautiful families. And it's great to see all the hard work and dedication that these inductees have put into the game. You know, they're being honored for it, and it's a great thing to witness. And for my father, I'd like to say thank you to the AFA and everybody here. You're all wonderful. Thank you.
Our 15th inductee for this evening is Rodney Slage, and he will be presented by Hal Lockhart. Hal, come on up. Again, try to keep it to 10 minutes, please.
I could tell you the history of the world in 10 minutes. The Ravens, guys, I told you it was a fun organization. We didn't take ourselves too serious. We didn't take semi-pro too serious. It wasn't the end of the world. If we lost a game, we lost a game. If we won one, we tickled to death. And one of the things I'd used to try to do is lay some colorful names on our players. Rodney Sledge became Percy after Percy Sledge, the singer. And we found out that Percy was a lot easier to say than Rodney. Okay. The picture you have in your book of Rodney Sledge is the only time I have ever seen that man without a smile on his face or a laugh, because nobody enjoyed living as much as Rodney Sledge. He was a great football player. He was, first of all, a competitor. Rodney Sledge would be compared to Russell Wilson. If you put either one of them in a tic-tac-toe game or a, what do you call the little thing, where you hit the buttons, oh, tiddlywinks. If you'd put Russell Wilson and Rodney Sledge in a game of tiddlywinks, I would not bet against either one of them. They were winners. Rodney was such a football player. He was short, probably 5'9", 5'8", about 220 to 250 pounds, strong. He tried out for the Richmond Speed, which was an indoor team. They were putting him in the bench press, 225, and they stopped him about 28. He was going, cha-chum, cha-chum, cha-chum. That's enough, Rodney. He went, okay? He just kept on going. He played all over the field for us. On offense, he played offensive tight end, which he was very good at. He played running back, which he was very good at. He played guard, who was very good at. I had him at wide receiver. I even had him at quarterback a couple of times. He was a football player. Football player can play almost any place. Anyhow, moving on. Rodney he was the best defensive tackle I ever had. I'll tell you two stories with Rodney. On a punt, Rodney took the ball off the punter's foot. On an extra point once upon a time, Rodney took the ball off the tee. True story. That's unbelievable. He was fast, he was smart, and he loved life. The problem was, Rodney died in a car accident this past April. One of his teammates pretty well summed it up, everything, by saying at his funeral, quote, "This was the hardest working dude and the most dedicated player I've ever had the privilege of playing with." Many of his teammates, Richmond teammates, attended his funeral. A lot of them in their jerseys. But knowing Rodney, as all of us did, we knew that this was not a funeral, but a celebration, exactly the way he would have wanted us to be. After the service, we all went out on the front steps and started telling Rodney stories. Rodney did this, ha, ha, ha. Rodney did that, ha, ha, ha. And that was exactly the way Rodney would have wanted us to do. Tell good stories about Rodney. He was a wonderful person. And this is his mother, Claudia Sledge.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm honored to be here today to represent my son, Rodney Sledge, who left us and moved on to heaven and who's probably playing football in heaven. I would like to thank Bob Uerchek and Coach Hal and Mary Lockhart for supporting Rodney and assisting him in becoming an inductee into the Hall of Fame. I recall when Rodney first started playing football in high school. His first complaint on the field was getting a shirt with number 0 on it. I lived across the street from the school, and I would watch from the upstairs window. Rodney was a real small statue, and they would just pile on top of him. He would come back home, he would be whiny, he would be dirty, and he'll say, Mom, what am I supposed to do? They're just picking on me. I said, you go back out there and you play harder. You show them that you can do it. And so he did. He concentrating on getting bigger. He started lifting weights. He started gaining weight. And then football became his biggest passion. Rodney became football. That was his biggest goal. He played with numerous teams in the Virginia area in Central Virginia, to include the Virginia Hornets, Virginia Ravens, Richmond Speed, Richmond Raiders, the Titans, and most recently, the Petersburg Lions. He was proud of all the teams that he played with. I spent many years watching him grow up and excel as an excellent football player who loved the sport and who would inspire other team members to make that commitment, as he did. I know Rodney would be smiling right here and would wear this recognition very well. Again, thank you to the AFL and to all the coaches, and I also would like to congratulate all the inductees to the AFL Hall of Fame. Thank you.
All right, our 16th new inductee will be Adam Walker, presented by Phil Michek. Phil, come on up. And on deck will be John Yancey, and his presenter will be Alan Lally. Phil, good seeing you.
Thanks, Kurt.
You got
I'd like say hello to Moose Fahey, who's not here tonight. I know he's watching the broadcast. During the break, Adam and I were talking about, I think you guys have his name wrong. I think the W is silent, and so it would be Ocker. So he would have been the first one in order to be up here so that everybody wouldn't have to listen to the 17 players. But I'd like to just talk about Adam. You know, he's got, you look at his accomplishments, they state themselves as far as in football himself. I'd like to talk about Adam, the football player, a couple stories that you may not know, and then just Adam Walker, the person. That's really what it's more part of. In 1986, the Racine Gladiators had folded and they came back to life. Jordan Kopak was one of them, and we weren't our normal self, but with Adam Walker's help, within a year we're back in a national championship game where we won 2 in a row. I think that's great an accomplishment, and that says a lot for Adam. That's not a well-known story, but it's true. You also look at the majority of the offensive line with the Racine Raiders are in the AFA Hall of Fame. And when you get a running back like Adam Walker, it's probably pretty easy because the guy makes you miss and he makes you a better offensive lineman. And then finally, you know, Adam and I, we talked about this, and you know, I'm a defensive guy, and I don't really care too much for offensive players. I can't help it, but when you play against a guy like that in practice, he makes you better. He makes you break down. He makes you tackle, because if not, you're gonna miss him. And the last story that, you know, one of them I think that's really pretty cool is, you know, in here you'll see Adam. He won't tell you about this, but if you look at his stats, he did play 2 or 3 games with the Vikings, right? And you know, there was a replacement, but I would say that every team that they played had all real guys there who decided to cross the line. So it shows you his talent. I mean, the guy was a legit player. One of the things that I was just brought to attention to talk about, let's say talk about Adam the person, you know, his lovely wife, Glynis, and him, he got married in the 80s, and I never knew this, and Jordan, I don't know if you knew this, but there was a really big game we played out in Pueblo, I thought, and it was so close, and I'm like, why are we so close? I thought we could beat anybody. He got married that day. I didn't even know he was gone. Come on, Adam. But in all sincerity, Adam the person is the guy who's devoted. He's a father. He's a husband. His son's with the Minnesota Twins baseball organization. They're going out to see him. His legacy lives on through his son. He and his wife are great athletes, great person. He coaches football at a Division III school. He's a defensive coordinator. Go figure. But he leads. He's got great motivation, endurance, discipline. He exemplifies what an AFA Hall of Famer is. And it's my privilege to announce a 2016 inductee, Adam Walker.
I'd like to thank the committee for electing me. I'd like to congratulate all the other 2016 inductees and other inductees who are here today. And I'd like to thank Phil Mechek. When I first heard I was nominated, I was truly honored to be nominated. When I found out that Phil Mechek nominated me, I was truly humbled. Not only did a teammate nominate me, but somebody from the other side of the ball nominated me, respected me enough. That was a great feeling. I'm originally from New York. I went to Wisconsin to go to college, Carthage College. I went out there as an option quarterback. When in college, I met my wife. And as I tell my current players, game over. I've been in Wisconsin ever since. Following college, I went on to play semi-pro ball for several years. I was talking to a gentleman yesterday about missing the brotherhood of playing with the guys. I feel I'm blessed.
My best friends are former semi-pro players. Steve Hibblers, my son's godfather. Les White, my running mate for most of my years playing. His family and my family are joined at the hips. Gentleman Marky B. Barnes, an offensive lineman that played later in my career, is one of my most trusted friends. And I get the privilege to coach with 3 former AFA Hall of Famers, in Arnie Garber, Greg Victor, and Danny Gallipo. So I've been blessed to still be around the people that I love and that brotherhood on a daily basis. My first year, as Phil mentioned, was 1986, playing with the Raiders. When I got there, I realized that I was playing with men and not college kids anymore. I had the biggest and baddest offensive line you could ever imagine. They made holes. I'm here because of them. Phil made it sound the other way around. I had a great offensive line, and they did some wonderful things while I was there. When I started practice or coming and playing in '86, my wife went to every practice twice a week, went to games twice a week. Granted, we were using her car anyway, but she's been a trooper, and I truly want to thank her for all those years that she watched and came and supported me. Winning's been important to me. Like Herm Edwards says, I play to win the game. I've been fortunate enough to play with the Racing Raiders, and we've won our share of national titles, league titles, and it's been fun. I can truly see several of the players who aren't already in the Hall of Fame here being inducted in years to come. We truly had a great team. We were good, and we enjoyed every moment of it. I played with 2 organizations in my life, the Racing Raiders, where we won our national championships and had it was a great organization. Management was awesome, from Joe Mooney to Bob Milkey to Coach Kopak to Arnie Garber to Coach Benjamin and all our other coaches. It was just a world-class, well-respected organization, and we had our good years. After I left the Raiders, I went closer to home and played for the Milwaukee Express, a team that I enjoyed playing with. I thought we turned things around and had a really good stay with the Express. My biggest accomplishment there was beating Palos in the playoffs. We still lost to Racine, who went on and won the national championship, but I had a chance to play with a lot of quality people in my years. I was proud to play with them. I still see them. We still reminisce, and they were definitely the glory days of my life. And those lessons, those experiences, I pass on to my players now. I pass it on to my son. As I said, I'm definitely about winning. My wife was a national champion high jumper, understands winning. My son plays professional baseball. He's won his 4 championships in the last 4 years. He understands winning. And being here tonight, winning is about character. All right? You don't just win because you have talent. It's about character. It's about discipline. And I'm honored and grateful to be with the group here today, who I know are bona fide winners and have character. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
John and Alvin, you're finally up. Ladies and gentlemen, your 17th and your last inductee for the evening, John Ayanasi, and his presenter is going to be Alvin Lally. So Alvin, come on up, buddy. Okay. And bring the rest of the group up. It just took 3 hours, don't worry about it.
I'm good.
You are.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Alvin Lally, class of 1998. This is my 4th or 5th time at this wonderful event that AFA puts on. Dave Birch, Seal, God bless you guys, I love you. Special people, special operations here. And I couldn't be more proud to be a part of it. It's like family. I had the pleasure of introducing someone who's meant a lot to me, and we've had conversations back and forth. We played upstate New York, Binghamton, New York, TC Jets. Yeah, we've been to Watertown. Yeah, we've been to Albany. Yeah, Scranton. We've had some wonderful, Johnstown. We've had some wonderful, wonderful games with some great people, Chambersburg. But I listen to so many people tell such great stories about what the game is. What the game is about passion. Everybody knows passion. What the game's about, commitment. Got to have commitment to be successful. Determination. But my inductee is a little different. My inductee embraces and amplifies what I think to be one of the elements the game couldn't live without, what it really takes in the end, with all the passion, all the love. It's courage. John Yanesi has tremendous courage. He was Binghamton, New York, went to Binghamton High School, was too little for this, couldn't play that, would never be good enough for this. He did it all. Courage. Courage to take on the naysayers. Courage to get better. Courage to do the things it takes to win. Courage to get here where he is tonight. So we had this conversation about, well, you know, I didn't have those stats. Well, listen, I got stats, I've got rings, I've got plaques, there's records, there's championships. That stuff is all good. But I'll tell you what's really important is who you remember. Don't forget that. It's the people you remember, because I played with hundreds, maybe thousands of people all over the country. Charlotte, North Carolina, Youngstown, Ohio, we were all over the place. But it's the people you remember. And John Yanesi and I have been together since 1972, off and on, but 1972. And he said, geez, it took 40 years. Well, that's an accomplishment. That's a compliment, because we remember. If you remember, they'll never be forgotten. So, it's my honor and great privilege to introduce to you my teammate, my golf buddy that hasn't beat me yet, but's going to, and my good friend, John Yanesi. I told you, don't be kissing me.
Watch Steve Hall with his photo.
Please beware. Bear with me tonight because of some dumb decisions as a kid. I lost my vocal cords to cancer 10 years ago. Dave and the AFA and all the alumni, all the rest of the class of 2016. Thank you. Got my glasses. First, I would like to.
Still looking out for him. Wait behind me.
I need to thank my mother and father. The many lessons you taught your 9 children and the example you set for us has been the foundation of our successes. Thank you to my Yanesi and Todd and Butte families. My wife, Kathy. You started this journey with me in 1972. Thank you for being with me as it ends tonight. My daughter, Alexis, and her boyfriend, Garrett. There are no words of how happy I am that you share this honor with me. Alexis, you never got to see me play, but tonight says I did it the right way. To Ray Stanton, we're building the DC Jets. His vision gave all of us a chance to continue playing the game we truly loved. To all my coaches, trainers, managers, and support staff, thank you. To the fans of the DC Jets, you are the best. To all the people who said I was too small to play football, you should have measured my heart first. Dave, your example taught this 19-year-old rookie how to play this game the right way. You know him as Melvin, but he will always be Yogi to me. He always had my front covered, which allowed me the freedom to play the game the way I did and get to this point today. Thank you. Last, but most importantly, my DC Jets teammates, our love, respect, and dedication to each other and the games are bonds that will last all our lives. I stand before you, honored and humbled to be a part of this team. Lastly,
one of our teammates, safety Joe Kendrick, is battling cancer for his life. Please say a prayer for him tonight. And on a personal level, I would like to say how proud I am of my father who stands beside me, and it's an honor to be here with all of you inductees tonight. Thank you.